Hey, everybody. John Granato and Lance Zerlin from the bench. Mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Hit subscribe right now if you haven't yet, because you can get all of our content here at SportsMap HOU. Fangraphs has the Astros as the favorites to win the World Series. With the windfall of money that comes with a championship, plus the money presumably falling off the books with Verlander and Greinke, if the Astros win a ring this year, is Jim Crane more or less likely to re-sign Carlos Correa?
Well, I would say more likely, but, it comes with a caveat of saying I don't believe there is any scenario where he's going to go double-digit years in a contract. I just think he understands that it sets a terrible precedent. It really puts you on the hook for a lot of guaranteed money. And I can't see a scenario where Jim Crane says, let's start the precedent of paying one of our top players a contract that is into the double-digit years, it's especially at top dollar. So I think it's more likely he would be willing to fork over $30 million per year as an APY, an average per year amount. But I think it's not less likely. It's just it doesn't alter his thinking that there is a cap on the amount of total years they're willing to give a player.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it might affect. I think 8 years is the most that he'll go. And if he goes 8, 240, and another team, let's say the Red Sox go 10, 300. If the Astros win the World Series, I think Carlos might, forego that $60 million. I think this might change his attitude. Hey, I'm on a winning team. I love it here. I love the warm weather. I want to stay here. $240 million is a lot of money, and it's not that big. I'm still making $30 a year. I think a win in a World Series might affect Carlos's attitude just as much as it affects Jim Crane's.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought of it that way. Certainly could be the case. And, if you're Carlos, you also, if you want to be in Houston, and I know we see this so infrequently, but the grass isn't always greener. You're seeing it right now with Garrett Cole a little bit. You see it with George Springer is also, it's injury-based, of course. But if you're Carlos Correa, for a team to go up from a $120 offer, which is $120 million, which was 6 year, $20 million per year, to 8 years, $30 million, to go to $240, to double what they were going to offer you inside of a single year, that should really mean something to Carlos. That should tell you the Astros are doing everything they can. And I think it's reasonable to say, hey, listen, we know you're homegrown and you've been part of something really special. We want to give you everything we can per year, what we feel like your value is, and it's certainly as good as Lindor and Tatis. The problem is if we go way up higher, we may not be able to do the same deals in the future for players to maintain your ability and everyone else's ability to compete for a World Series. So maybe that's something that can sell Carlos because he is homegrown. Garrett Cole was here for 2 years. He was a rental player in essence. So he didn't have those same ties to Houston that Carlos has.
No, and something special to you is Cars for Kids.
I love Cars for Kids. If you go to carsforkids.org, you have a chance to write off the car, not the kid. They will come and take your vehicle, whether it's a motorcycle, a camp, or a car, whether it's running or not. You can have them come out there. They will pick it up. You get the tax write-off, and it's going to benefit the Houston Can Academies. That's what they're doing at Cars for Kids. Go to carsforkids.org to learn more.
All right. Right now, halfway through the season, are you more or less convinced than you were before the season that Carlos Correa would be back?
Well, I would say I'll make the line of demarcation the contracts for Lindor and Tatis. After that, I was like, okay, bye, Carlos. Now Carlos is playing so well, you're tempted to say, well, now you really have no chance. But I've heard that Crane is willing to go to $30 million, that he's confided in some friends at. And if that's the case, and with the Astros on the run that they're on right now, I would actually say more inclined. I still think it's not the favorite, but I would say more inclined right now that Carlos, based on what you talked about, John, his ability to compete at this level, to do that from 2015, basically that's a start point, up to 2021, man, that's a good robust window. And that window could be even, maybe Patriot-like, not 20 years, but man, if you get a 10-year run, a 12-year run, and the Astros have the type of young players where that could be the case.
Yeah, I agree. I think this first half of the season, that the Astros are seeing his value, that he's proving his value, and he's proving that I think Jim Crane is already attached to him, and now that he's performing at this level, I think he's more inclined to give him that money and keep him here in Houston, which is nice.